talking about.
Okay. Well, let's go back to what you were saying about the seminar today, because you really excelled, and I did a lot of you had it in you about what you wanted to do, and I prodded you and I provoked you, and we talked about this for hours to go to the next level. And instead of having everything completely scripted out and in line, and then having a certain type of emotion that was around that, where I think a lot of times perfectionism comes in. When you have something lined up like that and it has to be that specific, there's not a lot of room for the flow or for error to be there. Mm-hmm. And I encouraged you because I know when our private talks and how you are and your personality and just your heart and your ability to let information come out in the moment, to do this in your seminar. Since you didn't want to come back here anymore and this was it, you said to me, what have I got to lose? And it's like, okay, well, let's get into this. Let's see what happens. And today, that's exactly what you did. And these people at the end of the seminar were in such a dramatically different place. And I think that was your confirmation. Something in you saw it while it was going on and while it was happening. And the people afterwards came back, and the guy that we were just with, what did he say? He said, this is the highlight of 4 years of coming to this convention. So you did something different there. What is it that happened today? When you talked about that seminar, what happened? What was that difference?
Well, admittedly, you and I had a long conversation last night over some of the best scotch I've ever had in my life.
Oh, yes.
I was already tired, and I was already relaxed, and I was already loose, but the scotch just kind of took away all my concerns. And I was telling you about my concerns about speaking here. And I said, I don't want to come back anymore. I pretty much lost my enthusiasm for it. Wonderful people. Don't regret any of it. Wanted to still do a good job. But I was also learning about, from Dr. Land, the Ho'oponopono approach, about trusting, about letting go, about not controlling. And I wanted to do that in my speaking, but it brought up fears. I've been very controlling when it comes to my talks. I have the PowerPoint. I've pretty much got my notes out there. It's not all scripted, but it's pretty close.
Yes.
And you talked to me for a long time, and what I will say in a very hypnotic way. You were not putting me into a trance. It was probably a type of waking trance where your eyes are open, but you are pretty much fogged out or only focused on that particular conversation, that particular moment. And you were telling me stories, most of which, maybe none of which, I could repeat. Not because they were objectionable, because I don't remember any of them. They were working on a different level.
Yes.
And those stories were helping me dissolve the walls of fear. They were slowly coming down. Slowly coming down. And a few times I remember just kind of staring off in space, and the only thing I can think of is that I was processing. I was processing what was going on based on what you were doing in your conversation. So we had a very therapeutic conversation-oriented experience last night with the fluid known as the magic of Scotch. And so by this morning, all of that had been integrated in me. I went into the talk, decided that I had nothing to lose. I'm not coming back. I was going to trust myself. I was going to trust the people. I was going to trust the moment. And that's what I did. I winged it. I went in there using what surfaced. You had brought a copy of the book,
Stumbling on Happiness.
Stumbling on Happiness. You brought it this morning. I flipped through it. And I read a few lines, and I thought, this is really good. Can I take this into the seminar?
Yeah.
So out of my letting go, something bigger and better than what I was planning showed up.
Exactly.
The book ended up to be my kickoff. I said, let me read something from this book that was just handed to me, and I started my talk with reading a couple lines. They were good lines. The audience heard how hypnotic it was, and I was able to use it as a spin-off. I did the same thing. I had a postcard on my booth that I thought, it's a marketing tool. It's got my name on it, but it's not hypnotic. It's not very good. I brought it into the workshop, and I used that as a lesson. It became a teaching tool. So to answer your question, it was all of this. It was my being willing to let go, my being willing to trust. It was my conversations with you where you were acting as a catalyst for change, a catalyst for instant change, and talking to me in a hypnotically speaking oriented way that caused all of this to make it a prime moment. And the prime moment being I'm in the moment. I didn't pre-plan and control the moment. I'm in the moment.
Right. And from that moment where you had that sense and you let go, I say, what do you let go into?
Yeah.
because there's when you let go from one thing to another, really something else is there. We say it might be the nothingness. However, within that nothingness, you let go into something some people call faith, other people call trust.
Yeah.
And from that point of where you were trusting it to happen, trust whatever to happen, that state, that emotion, that place, you started to manifest great things at the present time that didn't need any planning, that were perfect for that group today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, just like you're talking about right now, that was very hypnotic. That's the kind of conversation you gave me last night, which was very hypnotic. And it's on one level, you know, if we were sitting with other people at a restaurant and they didn't know about hypnosis and a convention, they'd be going, what is he talking about? What does he mean? But that what you're saying works on a different level. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. People say, you know, that was perfectly clear, and I didn't understand a word you said.
I love that quote.
It made so much sense.
That was perfectly clear, but I don't understand what you just said. But it made a lot of sense.
At one level, they're going like, wow, that's it. And I think that level of communication is where I'm encouraged, because you do communicate from that. However, it seemed like maybe you were stuck on a level of communication that it had to be this specific way.
Yeah.
And yet your most powerful form of communication is on that process level, where you're going in the flow of it. And what you did was let go, and you went into process today. You went into process, and the content came when it needed to come. And you just continued to stay in the process of letting go, which put you into trust. And from that trust mode, everything that you needed was there when it was needed.
That's a big one, though. Trust for any of us is a big one, because what we're saying is that you got to trust something else to take care of you. And most of us, myself included, want to trust me. I don't want to trust anybody else. I want to trust Joe. Yeah. Joe I can rely on, but I can't trust everybody else, and I can't trust the universe. What I'm learning is that actually the universe is what I need to trust.
Yeah.
And it sees a bigger picture than what Joe and his little ego can see. My ego sees the door to that dark room. From here it looks dark. We don't even know what's behind the door. The power could have gone out. There's nothing going on in there. There's pandemonium going on in there. But the universe, the bigger picture, sees the whole building, you know, as a metaphor. It sees the whole building. It sees everything that's going on in there. It can guide me. I can't. All I can do as a conscious Joe is start to go towards that door and then walk into the door. But the rest of it, I have to turn over.
Yeah.
I have choice, but I don't have control. The very thing I was talking about earlier.